After the car crash, I faked amnesia. Jason pushed me off on his best friend. I went along with it and slept with the guy, but then Jason was the one who freaked out. Later, when news of my engagement spread through New York, Jason rushed to stop it. I just linked arms with Calvin, smiling brightly. Let me introduce you. This is my fiancé, Calvin. How could I spend my whole life with just one woman like Nina? She's constantly watching me, always nagging me about getting married. You've got to be kidding. I'm not done having fun yet. If she ties me down now, my life is over. At the welcome home from the hospital party, Jason was lounging on the main sofa, looking lazy and content as he blew smoke rings. Dude, are you sure it's cool to lie to her like that? Jason couldn't care less. She got in a car crash and lost her memory all on her own. You can't blame me. When the time comes, I'll apologize, and she'll come running right back to me. Besides, Calvin's my boy. He won't try anything with Nina. Right? Sitting in the corner, half his body cloaked in shadow, was Calvin. He had an aura that set him apart, a stark contrast to the party's noise. Tossed on the floor like trash was the watch I'd gotten for Jason's birthday. Calvin reminded him in a quiet voice. Nina put a lot of thought into that gift for you. It's pretty messed up to just throw it away like that. Jason scoffed and kicked it over to Calvin. Who needs this piece of junk? If you like it so much, take it. The cracks on the watch face spread until it shattered completely. I composed myself and walked into the room. Jason was all over the woman next to him. Jason, your girl's here. What are you talking about? My girl's right here, Jason snapped, giving the woman's waist a deliberate squeeze as he spoke. Her face was familiar. It was Hannah, an actress Jason's company had recently signed. They'd spent a fortune promoting her, and now she was starting to make a name for herself. Jason. Hannah cooed, playfully pushing him before wrapping her arm intimately around his. Jason's eyes swept over me before he pulled Hannah even closer. He nibbled on her lip, his tone doting. You smell so good, baby. Hannah looked bashful, melting into him. Nina, look at him. He's just impossible, she said, her perfect face flushing a delicate pink. Her tone was dripping with smug satisfaction. She knew exactly what my relationship with Jason was. This was a deliberate provocation. Everyone here today was a mutual friend of mine and Jason's. They had watched us meet in college and fall in love. But now, Jason was behaving outrageously, without a shred of decency. 7 years together, now unrecognizable. Not a single person in the room dared to say a word. A phone call, right on cue, gave me the perfect escape. I stood up quickly. You all have fun. Something urgent just came up. As I left, I heard someone in the crowd whisper a warning. Nina's going to get her memory back sooner or later, Jason. Don't take it too far, or you won't be able to clean up this mess. What's the big deal? If she does remember, it'll just make her realize she can't bear to leave me. Jason grinned, downing the drink in front of him before leaning over to give Hannah a deep, unrestrained kiss. She loves me so much she'd literally die for me. As long as I'm willing to marry her, what else is there for her to complain about? It was true. There was a time when Jason was my entire world. He once lied and told me he had cancer. I stayed up day and night contacting hospitals in the US and abroad. I knelt my way up a mountain to pray for him. When he was exposed, I just smiled and said I was glad he was okay. Jason was so sure I couldn't live without him that he dared to be this reckless. But my heart isn't made of stone. I can feel pain, too. It's hard to let go of a love that started so young. But once you've collected enough disappointment, you don't look back. Thinking about all the moments we shared sent a sharp pang through my heart. I couldn't help but curse myself. Nina, oh, Nina. Why didn't you figure this out sooner? In our circle, Jason wasn't even the most impressive guy. If I'd really tied my whole life to him, it would have been over for me. Luckily, it wasn't too late. I covered my face, my shoulders trembling as I laughed until I cried. Are you all right? Calvin walked up to me, gently offering a handkerchief. His tailored suit hugged a lean waist, giving him a tall, sharp silhouette. Every move he made exuded a noble, refined elegance. Calvin had always been seen as the unattainable prize. I'd never seen him with a woman. Everyone said he was a workaholic with no interest in romance. If that weren't the case, Jason never would have been so bold as to use him as a shield. The moment Jason heard I had amnesia, he pushed Calvin in front of me and said he was my fiancé. While Jason's family was wealthy, they were nothing compared to the Brown family. It was like comparing dirt to the clouds. Now that I had Calvin as a fiancé, there was no reason to stick with a rotten apple like Jason. I wiped my tears and leaned naturally against Calvin. I felt his body stiffen. Before he could push me away, I whispered softly. I'm fine. It's just. Coming out of there, I suddenly feel so sad. Honey, what's happening to me? He's supposed to be my fiancé. Calling him honey isn't too much, is it? Calvin's expression flickered. He rested a hand on my shoulder, gently comforting me. It's probably because of your injury. Don't overthink it. I'll take you home. I grabbed the hem of his jacket, feigning surprise. We're engaged, but we don't live together. The more reserved and aloof he was, the more I wanted to test his limits. A tear slipped from the corner of my eye, and my voice trembled. Is this an arranged marriage? Do we not actually have feelings for each other? No. Did you do something to betray me? Are you hiding someone at home? No. After my barrage of questions, Calvin finally took me back to his place. This is the master bedroom. You can stay here. I'll be in the room next door. Calvin tried to subtly back away, but I quickly threw my arms around him. I let my eyes wander pointedly down his body. Why are we sleeping in separate rooms? Do you have a condition? Calvin grabbed the hand I was about to move lower, his voice muffled. No. I was afraid that since you don't remember our past, you might not be comfortable. Then let's sleep together, I declared, my tone leaving no room for argument. Soon, I regretted it. Who knew that a cool, mature guy like him would have a semi-transparent glass door for his bathroom? The sound of the shower filled the room, his silhouette a tantalizing shadow behind the frosted glass. My face was burning, but I couldn't look away. When the water stopped, I was still left wanting more. Calvin came out wearing only a towel, just barely covering the essentials. The view was spectacular. Sorry to keep you waiting. Droplets of water trickled from his hair down his shoulders, highlighting muscles that were sexy but not bulky. This body was infinitely better than Jason's string bean physique. I really had no taste back then, mistaking a dud for a diamond. A soft sigh escaped my lips. You're so handsome, honey. Calvin's ears instantly turned red. It made me want to tease him more. Honey, just looking at you, I feel like I'm falling in love all over again. Are you this handsome when we're up close and personal? Calvin's eyes darkened, and all his exposed skin flushed a deep red. When you get your memory back, we can. The doctor said that repeating things we used to do could help me remember. As I spoke, I wrapped my arms around his neck and kissed those thin lips I'd been coveting for so long. Nina. Calvin's voice was raspy as he gasped. With a gentle tug, we both tumbled onto the massive bed. He sank into the mattress with me on top of him. Pressing my lips against his, I asked, Honey, are you hiding something from me? Do you hate me? If you won't tell me, I'll just go ask Jason. I started to get up, but Calvin yanked me back down. I landed on him again, drawing a soft groan. Just then, Jason called. My hand was mischievously tracing the lines of Calvin's abs. Calvin, do me a favor and keep a close eye on Nina. I can only relax when you're there. Okay, Calvin replied flatly before hanging up. Who was that, honey? I asked innocently. No one important. Calvin dodged the question and turned off his phone. The places my fingers had touched were even redder now, and his eyes had grown cloudy. I was about to reach for the pesky towel around his waist when he caught my hand, stopping me. You're still recovering. I'll sleep in the guest room. His voice was hoarse but gentle. Then he quickly left. Watching his retreating back, I felt a twinge of disappointment. The more of a gentleman he tried to be, the more I wanted to see him lose control completely. After a few days of partying with Hannah, Jason moved on to a few new models. He was having the time of his life. Worried that Nina might suddenly regain her memory and ruin his fun, he repeatedly reminded Calvin to keep an eye on things. His friends thought he was going too far and tried to talk some sense into him. Jason, you need to think about things from Nina's perspective. If you really like her, then treat her right. If you don't, just be straight with her. Jason brushed it off, full of confidence. I know Nina's a great girl, but being too great can also be a lot of pressure. I'm just having my fun now. When I marry her later, it'll be the perfect time to settle down. She'll probably be thrilled. Alright, in a little while, I'll go get a ring made and propose to her. It'll be my apology for all this fooling around. None of you know her like I do. I've got this under control. Jason was certain that Nina, having invested so much in him, could never leave him. If he didn't hold such a special place in her heart, why would she remember everyone but forget only him? This little break was exactly what he needed. He'd get all his partying out of his system, and then marrying Nina would feel like a fresh start with no regrets. With a small laugh, Jason pulled the model in his arms closer, kissing her deeply as passion took over. When I woke up and went downstairs, Calvin had already prepared breakfast. He was wearing a clean white shirt, giving off major husband vibes. The top 2 buttons were undone, revealing his collarbones in a way that was incredibly alluring. I really wanted to mess him up. I sat down next to him and naturally took his hand, gently rubbing my thumb over his fingers. Your hands are so beautiful, honey. I want to hold them forever. Calvin didn't say anything, just took a bite of his sandwich. Yours looks better, honey. Let me have a taste. My lips brushed against his cheek as I took a bite from the exact spot he had. Calvin froze for a second, his cheeks turning pink as he subtly shifted in his seat. Honey, I've got something on my mouth. Quick, wipe it for me. Calvin dutifully followed my command, his movements gentle. The pink tip of his finger accidentally brushed my lips, making him tremble slightly. I stared at him, tracing his features with my eyes. His long, dark eyelashes were so close I could almost touch them. His thin lips were slightly parted, as if he wanted to say something but couldn't. I kind of wanted to kiss him. By the time I snapped back to reality, we were already inches apart. A good morning kiss. Don't forget it next time, I said with a smile, tipping his chin up in a gentle warning. At the King family's cocktail party, I arrived on Calvin's arm. Hannah, looking stunning, stood by Jason's side. She politely raised her glass to me in a toast. After one sip, my head felt dizzy and heavy. The drink was spiked. You drugged my drink? I slurred, my vision blurring. Vaguely, I saw Jason pull Hannah into a corner, his voice sharp with anger. Don't worry, Jason. It's just a little sleeping pill. This is the perfect chance to make Nina think she got involved with someone else. That she did something to betray you. Then, even when she gets her memory back, she won't dare say anything to you. Won't she be completely under your control? What if? Jason hesitated. Relax, nothing will happen. I've arranged everything, Hannah purred, leaning against him while tracing circles on his chest. After this, she'll never dare to boss you around again. See? Aren't I always thinking of you, Jason? You put so much thought into this for me. How should I spoil you? Gradually convinced, Jason smiled and leaned in to nibble on Hannah's earlobe, making her gasp. Jason. If it's just a sleeping pill, I won't get involved. Let's go somewhere else. Jason wrapped his arm around Hannah and left, heading for a hotel suite upstairs. But the reaction in my body told me this was much more than just a sleeping pill. I frantically searched the crowd for Calvin. He was currently tied up talking to a few senior business partners. I wanted to call out to him but worried about the strange sounds I might make. A few suspicious-looking men nearby were starting to close in. I quickly got up and moved toward Calvin. Just before I lost all control, I fell into a familiar embrace. "Honey. Save me." Calvin saw something was wrong and immediately took off his jacket, draping it over me. Once he got me in the car, I instinctively climbed onto his lap. "Help me, honey, I feel so awful." I kissed the corner of his mouth, my hands uncontrollably unbuttoning his shirt. I'd just undone the second button when he stopped me. He deftly removed his tie and used it to bind my restless hands. His voice was raspy. "I'm taking you to the hospital." My body was burning up. Using the last shred of my sanity, I deliberately teased him. "Why? Aren't we engaged? You can help me." Calvin looked at me, his eyes swirling with dark, unreadable emotions. His tone was serious and firm. "Nina, I don't want you to have any regrets." He pushed me aside and fastened my seatbelt. As his fingertips brushed the small of my back, a jolt of electricity shot through me. My heart fluttered, sending ripples across a once calm lake. Deep inside, a new feeling began to stir, spreading endlessly. Calvin took care of me all night until the effects of the drug completely wore off. "What am I going to do, honey?" "I think I love you even more today than yesterday," I said, my eyes crinkling as I smiled at him. "Since I have amnesia, why don't we start dating all over again?" "Hi, my name is Nina." Calvin turned his head away, a soft blush creeping up from the base of his ears. He gently took my hand, his voice low and tender. "Calvin." I started dragging Calvin on dates, holding hands like a normal couple. Any chance I got, I'd get my hands all over him. But Calvin remained a frustratingly restrained gentleman, refusing to take things any further. As night fell, I deliberately took all his clothes and towels while he was in the shower. Half an hour later, Calvin's shy voice came from behind the door. "I forgot to grab a towel. Could you help me?" I stared at the hazy silhouette behind the glass and sighed to myself. If you're going to be this shy, why did you install this door in the first place? I didn't move. Another half hour passed. "Nina, are you there?" After a few more calls, I finally, slowly, passed him a pink towel. I gasped in mock surprise. Oops. I grabbed the wrong one. "Wait, I'll go get another." "It's fine, this one will work." Long, pale fingers emerged from the crack in the door, tiny water droplets clinging to reddish skin. The pink towel was snatched from my grasp and quickly pulled back inside, as if he was terrified I'd see something. "The door is practically see-through, and he's putting on this act." A moment later, Calvin emerged, wrapped in the pink towel. Hiss. I wanted to rip it off even more. Before I could make a move, he had already walked into the closet and changed into a proper silk pajama set. I turned and grabbed the corner of his sleeve, starting to sob quietly. "Honey, do you not love me?" "No, that's not it," Calvin quickly denied. I pinched my own thigh, trying to squeeze out a few tears. I slowly looked up at him. "Then why won't you stay and sleep with me? If that's how it is, maybe we should just break up. No point in forcing it." Panicked, Calvin immediately pulled me into his arms, his eyes dark and intense. He placed a light kiss on the corner of my eye, asking cautiously, "Do you really like me? The me of right now?" I stood on my toes and answered him with a kiss. In a moment of passion, things spiraled out of control. I was just propping myself up on my elbows, trying to catch my breath, when he grabbed my ankle and pulled me back down. His scorching lips trailed butterfly kisses down my back, his voice a seductive whisper. "Baby. Say you love me." "I love you, honey." I had been completely fooled by Calvin's reserved exterior. He might seem calm, but in bed, he was wild. And that wildness lasted the entire night. I slept until noon, waking up sore all over. Once he was dressed, Calvin reverted to his usual self-restrained, proper demeanor. Jason would occasionally contact Calvin to check in. "How's it going? Nina hasn't remembered anything, has she? If you see any signs of her memory coming back, give me a heads up so I can prepare my apology script. I know I just have to bat my eyelashes and she'll be moved to tears, but I should at least put on a show for her. She's kind of annoying. Thanks for putting up with her for me during this time." Calvin replied, "She's fine. Don't worry about her." I leaned in deliberately, and Calvin quickly shut his phone. So tense. Hiding someone on the side? "No, it's Jason," he explained nervously. "He just says a lot of nonsense. I was afraid you'd be upset if you saw it." Seeing how anxious he was, I pretended to drop the subject. For the next week, Calvin didn't go to the office. It was as if he was trying to make up for all his previous restraint at once. In a moment of passion, Calvin nibbled my earlobe, demanding more. "Nina, I want a birthday present, too." My head was swimming, and I nodded repeatedly. Anything to get out of this room. I was desperate. I didn't even register that he had said to. At the store, Calvin picked out a watch identical to the one I had bought for Jason. It was only about $20,000. Compared to the multi-million-dollar watches he wore every day, this was cheap. The image of Jason grinding the other watch under his heel was still vivid in my mind. My heart clenched, and I gently suggested, "Maybe you should look at something else. Like cufflinks, or a tie." Calvin smiled, looking down as he fastened the watch on his wrist. "As long as it's from you, I'll love it. Nina. The cufflinks, the tie. I can have all of them." His smile was so captivating that I foolishly nodded. We spent the entire day carefully picking things out. The styles were all different. The number of items was exactly the same as the number of gifts I had once given Jason. And without exception, Calvin paid for everything. I protested, but it only made his smile wider. "You're giving me gifts, so I should pay. It makes perfect sense. Nina, you coming into my life is the best gift I could ever ask for." The sweet nothings flowed from his lips like an open floodgate, making my heart flutter. A camera flash went off in the distance. I quickly covered my face and put on a mask. In the end, Calvin and I still ended up on the front page of the entertainment news. The untouchable ice prince of Brown Corp, brought to his knees by love. Everyone was speculating about the identity of the mystery woman in the photos. Jason couldn't resist calling to tease him. "When did this happen? You kept it under wraps so well. I wonder who this goddess is who could make a hardened tree like you finally bloom. Has Nina seen the news? Did she say anything?" Actually, it doesn't matter if she sees it. Even though you're just pretending to be her fiancé for me right now, she needs to understand sooner or later that men of our status can't be tied down to just one woman for their whole lives. Calvin's body had blocked most of the woman in the photo, making her impossible to identify. Jason was feeling pretty smug. From his perspective, Calvin having someone on the side was a win-win. When Nina eventually got her memory back, he could use it as a little reminder. All men are the same. He was, and so was Calvin. Jason paused, then intentionally brought up the night of the party, hesitating. "Nina. Well, there are some things I can't really say. Anyway, the fact that I'm still willing to take her back is a blessing for her. You had to commit to the act. If everyone around Nina started looking at her strangely, she wouldn't be able to hold her head high. When she finally regained her memory one day, just as Hannah had said, she'd be putty in his hands." It was true that he liked Nina, but it was also true that he wasn't willing to give up his playboy lifestyle for her. I wrapped my arms around Calvin's neck and deliberately lowered my voice, whispering in his ear. "Honey, why don't you ask me why I was hiding?" "You must have your reasons," Calvin murmured, giving my lips a soft peck. He expertly let me light a fire under him. Just as he was ready to go, I gently pressed against his waist and tilted my head up. Honey. I never actually lost my memory. Calvin froze, a flicker of panic in his eyes. It quickly turned into an inky darkness. His voice was tentative and wounded. You said you loved me. You can't take it back. I smiled and pulled his head down for another kiss. I won't take it back, fiancé. Those words were music to his ears. He spent the rest of the night tangling me up, making me call him honey until my voice was hoarse, refusing to stop. I got so mad I kicked him, but he just caught my leg and continued our battle. After I woke up and regained my strength, I thought back on all the details. I finally realized that Calvin had been planning this for a long time. If it weren't for you, I would have had no interest in being friends with Jason, he admitted candidly. The semi-transparent bathroom door was just one of his methods of seduction. Then why were you so restrained? Calvin's ears turned red as he explained, things that come too easily are never cherished. And I didn't want to take advantage of you. I wanted you to want to be with me, genuinely. What if I hadn't faked amnesia, and Jason hadn't pushed me onto you? What was your plan then? I asked, curious. If he treated you well, I would have slowly found a way to win you over. If he treated you badly, I would have waited for my chance to swoop in. Luckily for me, he treated you badly. Calvin's eyebrow arched. He held me tightly in his arms, a deep, meaningful light swirling in his eyes. Calvin accompanied me on a trip to my family's home to discuss the details of our engagement. He was steady and composed, having come fully prepared. Not even counting the gold and jade jewelry, the betrothal gift alone was $50 million. After the engagement, another 10% of Brown Corp's shares would be transferred to my name. Calvin, this is too much. It was the first time I had used his name. Nina, I've waited for this day for a very long time, he whispered, his eyes full of tender affection. Much longer than you think. I remembered the first time I met Calvin, on Jason's yacht. Everyone there was lounging around casually. Only he stood out, dressed in a perfectly tailored dark suit with his tie knotted impeccably. My parents didn't ask any questions when they saw me with someone new. Jason's scandalous behavior had been no secret in our circle lately, and my parents had heard the rumors. They had been worried about me. Now, seeing Calvin arrive with such a sincere proposal, they couldn't hide the joy in their eyes. Once the date was set, they proudly announced my engagement on their social feeds. Jason's calls started blowing up my phone. Nina, did you get your memory back? You'd better explain yourself. When did I ever say I was going to get engaged to you? Since you remember everything, you must know about certain things that happened. Don't think you can use that to blackmail me. I can reluctantly agree to be with you, but whether or not we get engaged is my decision. Tell your parents to delete that post, and we can talk this over. So annoying. Jason, which one of your eyes told you the person I'm getting engaged to is you? If you're not using them, you can donate them to someone who needs them. I hung up and blocked his number. After I hung up on him, Jason stubbornly called back. Sorry, the number you have dialed is busy. Nina had blocked him. The wine glass in Jason's hand shattered. In a fit of rage, he swept all the bottles off the table, sending them crashing to the floor. Nina! How dare she? Jason, don't be angry yet. This is just one of Nina's tricks to get your attention. Hannah quickly clung to him, using the pretense of calming him down to run her hand suggestively over his chest. You don't understand how a woman's mind works. This is just her playing hard to get. Are you serious? The fire in Jason's eyes slowly faded as clarity returned. Of course. Who knows, maybe Nina deliberately leaked the engagement news just to provoke you. Hannah sounded utterly convinced. Jason finally started to relax. She was right. Nina's social circle was small, and Calvin had been keeping an eye on her for him. In such a short time, who could she possibly have gotten engaged to? A smirk played on Jason's lips as he took the glass Hannah offered and downed it. He had really lost his cool for a second there. He couldn't even see through such a simple ploy from Nina. Fine, he'd wait a little longer. If Nina couldn't hold out and came to him to apologize, he might even consider the engagement. After all, he and Nina were going to get married sooner or later. An engagement was just a formality. A film I directed was nominated for an Apex Award. I made sure to dress to the nines for the award ceremony. My team had already gone inside, while I was asked to stay on the red carpet for photos. Hannah arrived on Jason's arm. When he saw me, Jason's face instantly soured. "Nina, if you're really trying to make up with me, this isn't the place. You shouldn't be here. Don't make a scene. It won't do you any good." Ever since college, I'd dreamed of being a director. Jason never took it seriously. He never cared about anything I did. Naturally, he had no idea that one of my works was nominated tonight. Hannah, beside him, also chimed in softly. "Nina, it's really embarrassing to be caught crashing a red carpet. How about I talk to the director for you and get you an extra spot? You can just walk behind us, with our group." "No, thanks." I quickly handed the signing pen to the attendant and hurried inside, holding up the hem of my dress. I didn't want any more drama with these two. But as luck would have it, my seat was right next to Jason's. The seat didn't have a name on it. It was only when he sat down that I realized the organizers had reserved it for him as a special guest. "Nina, do you think you can control me by bribing the organizers to put your seat next to mine? I suggest you stop being so childish. Go home and wait. I'll come find you when I have time. Don't make a fool of yourself here." Jason spoke as if he were talking to himself, his disdain palpable. "I'm not here for you," I explained wearily. Jason let out a short, dismissive laugh. "Nina, stop pretending. It's getting old. My patience is limited. Don't try to test me. If you're not here for me, what else could you possibly be here for?" The presenter's booming voice echoed through the venue, drowning out Jason's noise. "The award for Best Director in this category goes to Nina Song. And the Best Feature Film Award goes to the movie Dawn. Please welcome the creative team to the stage." The spotlight hit me, and I rose confidently. Under Jason's stunned and shocked gaze, I walked gracefully to the award stage. At this ceremony, Hannah's film crew went home with nothing. Jason had never seen Nina shine so brightly. Under the spotlight, her couture gown glittered. Or perhaps, he had never truly looked at Nina at all. She had always been by his side, and he had grown accustomed to overlooking how dazzling she was. When Nina accepted the award on stage, Jason's heart clenched as if something precious was slipping away. The things he'd just said to Nina made him feel like a pathetic clown. He wanted to explain. But Nina was already talking with her team, having switched seats with someone. A crowd of people now separated them. It was as if an insurmountable chasm had opened between him and Nina. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. After the ceremony, he frantically chased after her, only to be blocked by Hannah. "Jason, you promised me." The awards dinner hadn't officially ended, but Hannah was already impatiently seeking out Jason. "Get lost." Jason was in no mood to deal with her. He shoved her away. Her dress slipped unexpectedly, revealing more than intended. The camera flashes were relentless. I quickly grabbed a coat and draped it over her. Once we were away from the crowd, Hannah looked at me, confused. "Why did you help me?" "I didn't help you. I just don't want my award win to be overshadowed by your sex scandal on tomorrow's news." This was the first film I had poured my heart into, the first to win an award, and the first step to making a name for myself. I wouldn't let anything steal its thunder. I would settle my score with Hannah eventually. But the person with the least right to humiliate her was Jason. Calvin came back from his business trip and picked me up at the door himself. As I'd requested, he didn't get out of the car. Only a sliver of his side profile was photographed, so it didn't cause much of a stir. We hadn't seen each other in a few days, and my heart had unexpectedly grown fond. The moment we were inside, I kicked off my heels and threw myself into his arms. I whispered softly, "Honey." Calvin's voice was hoarse as he held me up. "Are you sure you want to start here?" A kiss sealed our lips, and things spiraled out of control. My phone rang at the most inconvenient time. It was an unknown number, and in my haste, I accidentally answered. Jason's voice came through the speaker. "Nina, who is that man? You found him just to piss me off, didn't you? Stop playing games and be a good girl." I said I'd agree to the engagement, isn't that enough? I couldn't help but frown. "Baby, focus," Calvin suddenly urged, his grip tightening. I let out a small gasp and pushed against his chest. "What are you doing?" "Nina, I'm warning you, don't test my..." The call ended, and everything was finally quiet. "Baby, no more distractions," Calvin said, not giving me a chance to speak. Our lips met, and he began his conquest, leading us both into oblivion. Jason, relentless, kept harassing me from different numbers. He even showed up at the film set to confront me. It was laughable. I used to dream of him visiting me on set, but he never cared. Now, he was showing up uninvited. "Jason, I don't think we're close. This is causing problems for me. My fiancé won't be happy." I rubbed my forehead and gave him a pointed look. "Nina, stop messing around. You have your memory back. You should know you're my girlfriend. You don't have a fiancé. I'm already willing to lower myself for you. What more do you want?" Jason's words were still condescending, his tone laced with impatience. A film set is a restricted area. I had no energy to coddle him, so I just had security escort him out. When Calvin heard that Jason had come to the set, his eyes burned with jealousy. He held my hand tightly, his breath hot against my skin. "The movie's promotional period is over. Can I come out of the shadows now?" I had asked to keep the engagement unofficial for a while. I wanted people to focus on my work, not my private life. The Brown family was a powerhouse in NYC. The marriage of their sole heir was bound to be a media circus. "Baby, I want a title." Calvin pestered me all night. I had to give in. Soon, news of the union between the Brown and Song families spread throughout New York City. On the day of the engagement party, a disheveled Jason rushed in to stop it. I linked arms with Calvin, a bright smile on my face. "Let me introduce you. This is my fiancé, Calvin. Why did it have to be you? And I thought you were my best friend." Jason's eyes turned crimson. He balled his fist and swung at Calvin. "Watch out." I cried out. To my surprise, Calvin was incredibly skilled. He easily subdued Jason and pushed him aside. He brushed the dust off his sleeve. "Security, show our guest out." Jason was thrown out of the venue. He smashed everything in sight until his family's people came and dragged him away. He was grounded. When he was finally let out, he started trying to steal Brown Corp's projects, only to have Brown Corp swallow half of his own company's resources in retaliation. His company's market value plummeted. When old Mr. King found out, he was so furious he broke Jason's leg. That finally shut him up. I listed all the gifts Jason had ever given me on eBay at 90% off, a fire sale. A buyer contacted me almost immediately, asking why they were so cheap. "Just some stuff with no value. If you really like it, you can have it for free." The person on the other end went silent. In the end, they bought everything for 10 times the original price. Tens of millions of dollars landed in my account. I donated the money to a girls' education fund for rural areas. As for the drugging incident, Hannah turned herself in and confessed before I even submitted my evidence. She was permanently blacklisted from the industry. After the engagement, I was busy preparing for my next film. Once I was on set, I couldn't focus on anything else, and I inevitably neglected Calvin. On a rare day off, Calvin specifically cleared his schedule to stay home with me. We were glued to each other, not wanting to be apart for a second. "Calvin, when did you start liking me?" I had been pondering this question for a long time. I couldn't recall any other interactions we'd had. Calvin gently placed his hand on my head and ruffled my hair. Nina, you probably don't remember. On the first day of school, you bumped into someone. I looked up, and that image of you was seared into my heart. I couldn't help but secretly learn about you, observing your likes and dislikes. But in my life up to that point, I'd never had to deal with the subject of liking someone. While I was hesitating over how to confess my feelings, you were already with Jason. I thought about giving up, but I realized I couldn't do it. So, I chose to become friends with Jason. It was a despicable way to get closer to you. Calvin stared straight at me, his eyes as gentle as water, shimmering with emotion. Nina, I love you. Honestly, it doesn't matter if you love me back or not. Now, you've chosen to walk toward me on your own. I will never let you go. Meeting the deep emotion in his eyes, I leaned in and gave him a soft peck on the lips. Calvin, tomorrow, I will love you even more than I do today. Outside, the sunset clouds burned bright and splendid. Inside, two shadows danced together. A year later, Calvin and I officially got our marriage license. On our wedding day, Jason stood in the crowd below the stage, looking haggard, his eyes red. After we exchanged rings, I saw that his figure was already gone. I was surprised Calvin had let him in. I wanted him to see that my Nina will always deserve the best. Calvin held my hand tightly. That night, fireworks lit up the sky over the city's bay for hours. The massive screens in the city center displayed Nina's name. Calvin no longer needed to hide his love. During our month-long honeymoon, we barely left the villa. I raised a hand in protest, but my voice was swallowed by his kisses. Baby, last time. Calvin. You liar. You said that last time. This time is for real, I promise. A shower of kisses fell from my brow. I completely gave up resisting, letting my energy slowly drain away. Perhaps because we were a little too indulgent, I soon found out I was pregnant. Calvin's face was a mixture of joy and worry. It was rare to see him like this, so I deliberately ran a finger up his sleeve. Honey, today I was thinking I'd like to. Calvin shot up and quickly backed away. Don't. We can't right now. I only stopped teasing him when he was begging for mercy. To meet you in this world is to find a flower in the rain. My love is endless, a romance as vast as the mountains and rivers. The moon is beautiful tonight. Happiness is slowly climbing to its peak. Everything is just right.